Welcome to Adarsh, your online teacher YouTube channel. In this video, we are going to learn about NumPy. NumPy is a Python library used for scientific computing. It comes with a lot of open source softwares which you can use for different applications of data sciences. NumPy is a fundamental package used for numerical computing, especially if you want to work with array related concepts in Python. NumPy is the only one option we have. NumPy serves as an alternative to lists. As we know that lists can hold different elements, and similarly arrays also going to hold similar elements. But, but the difference here you need to remember, lists can hold different types of data elements. Means at the same time in a list you can store a string, you can store an integer value, or otherwise you can store a floating point value also. But in arrays can store only similar type of elements. Means if you create an array with 1, 2, 3, 4, then it will be valid or otherwise it is not. NumPy serves as an alternative to lists. Means just like lists, arrays are also used to hold some elements, or we can say group of elements. But only the difference is lists can hold different types of elements, but arrays cannot. But when compared with a list, arrays are 50 times faster than the list while doing some sort of processing. Because of the speed and the available resources, arrays are more frequently used during data analysis. Let us know how to create a NumPy array. The one-dimensional NumPy array can be created by importing the NumPy package into your code. That means the first statement of your program code should be import NumPy as NP. Here NP is the alias name for NumPy package. Then a equal to numpy.array means we are creating an array with the array keyword, or otherwise we can say array function, enclosing it with some elements. Here in this case I am creating an array with the name A and trying to keep 5 elements of integer type. As we know that all the elements in an array are represented in a sequence. As a sequence means they will be stored in the contiguous memory locations, but whereas in tuples it will not be in the contiguous memory locations, right? Let us try to see some valid and invalid array creations. In the first example you see 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 means I have created an array with 5 elements and all the elements are of integer type only. That's why we can say that it is a valid array. But whereas in the other two cases, see in the second case where we have used 2.5 element, but actually it is an array with 1, 3, 4 and 5 integer values, but in between you are having a decimal point value, that is floating point value. Means in that case it is not considered as a valid. Why? Because it does not have similar type of elements. In the third case also, along with the integer values we are having a character, or otherwise we can say it as a string, right? But at a time it is not possible to store the integer types and strings in a single array. That's why it is also treated as an invalid array. How to access the NumPy array elements? Just now as I mentioned, all the elements in an array are going to store sequentially in the contiguous memory locations, and each and every element will be identified with its index. So if I want to extract the first element, then I have to write a of 0, which will extract number 1. If I want to extract the second element, then I should write a of 1, which will extract the value 2, and so on. You have to do the same thing for other elements also. Means if I want to access the fifth element, that is 5, then I have to write a of 4. Now how to get the type of an NumPy array? Means I want to know what data type the elements are in a particular array. Means the elements type in a array is going to represent or is going to tell what is the type of the array also. Means for example, if I store all the integer values, then automatically the array will become an integer array, right? If I store all the floating point values, then the array will become a floating point value. if you want to explicitly know what is the type of an array, then the statement you have to write is type of A. Type of A, that is nothing but here we are writing it as numpy.nd array. Numpy is the package what we are using and nd array is the object for that package, right? That is type of A. Means if you write type of A, it is going to give you integer 64. An alternative for type of A is you can also write as a.d type. A.d type. In both the cases, you are going to get the output as int 64. Right? Don't worry, we are going to learn all these coding things in the hands-on lab session. Simultaneously, just as I extracted the type of an array, similarly, I want to extract the size, dimension, and shape also. Means in this case, if you treat an array A with 5 elements, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, then if you write A dot size, then it is going to give the size of an array. That is nothing but the number of elements in an array. As our array is having 5 elements, the output will be 5. And if I write A dot ndim means number of dimensions in the array. As we are working with one-dimensional array representing the elements in a single row, then automatically the output will be 1. Next, A dot shape. Actually, shape is going to tell the number of rows and number of columns, but that will be happen when you are working with the multi-dimensional arrays. When you are working with single-dimensional arrays, you should understand that it is the number of columns in the array, right? The number of elements automatically going to tell the number of columns. So when you write A dot shape, the output will be 5. Why? Because we are having 5 elements. Next, how to create a floating point numpy array, right? Just now, how we created a integer type array, the same way you have to do it. Only the difference is, instead of representing the numerical values, integer values, you are representing the floating point values. First, you have to import the numpy with its alias name. Then, by using that alias name and an array function, enclose the elements, the 2 floating point elements, and assign them to a variable b. Right? The example code here you see, we have imported the numpy array, and then by using an array function we have created. And simultaneously, if you want to know the type of an array, simply you can type of b, right? Or otherwise you can go for b type, b dot d type. It is not a d dot d type, it is b dot d type, right? Then the output will be float 64. Why? Because the array is holding all the floating point values only. How to add 2 numpy arrays, right? See, for this example, I have taken 2 arrays. One array is A with elements 1, 0 and B array with elements 0, 1, and the output will be I am storing in C, right? Try to understand the diagram carefully. How the addition will be performed between the arrays, right? Here, the array elements will be represented in the flattened way, right? Flattened means in the vertical way, right? Vertical way, the first element at the top and the second element in the bottom, and so on. Simultaneously for B also. When you perform the addition in between these two, the addition of the first element in the first A array will be added with the first element of B array. So it will be 1 plus 0. And simultaneously, the second element of array A is going to add with the second element of B. That's why it is 0 plus 1. When you do the addition in between these two, the output you will get is 1 and 1. Means automatically here C equal to 1, 1 will be the output. If you go for the example code, then import the statement as usual, create the 2 arrays, right? Then simply write the statement as C equal to A plus B. Then the output for C you will get is an array with the elements 1, 1. Otherwise, you can go for the alternative code also, that is create the arrays, right, and use the for loop, and at each and every time you go on appending the values to C, right? But when compared with the first one, or the second one, right? The first code, this particular code is going to be executed very fastly when compared with the this particular code. Next, how to multiply two NumPy arrays. Here we are not going to multiply two arrays, right? Rather, we are going to perform the multiplication of an array with 2, right? That is the difference you need to remember. Multiplication of two arrays is different, and multiplication of an array with a value is different. In this case, we are doing the multiplication of an array with a particular value. See, for that one, I am using a array with 1, 2 elements, and the B I will store the output. Here 1, 2, and I am performing the multiplication with 2. Means I want to do the multiplication of these elements with 2. In this case, it will be 1 into 2 and 2 into 2. So the output will be 2, 4. Means here B will be 2, 4. Right? This is the way how you can do the multiplication. Right? If you go for the code, it will be, you see, instead of, this is the only difference, right? Here we are writing B equal to A into 2. Means whatever the elements that are there in the A array, that all the elements we need to multiply with 2. Right? Right? This is an alternative code for the first one. Next, how to calculate the product of two NumPy arrays, right? In this case, we are using two arrays, remember, right? Means we are doing the multiplication of two different arrays. One array is A with 1, 2 values, and another array is B with 3, 4 values. The output I will store it in C. In this case, what is happening, you see, the multiplication, how it will be, the first element of an array A should be multiplied with the first element of array B. And simultaneously, the second element of array A is multiplied with the second element of array B. That's why it will be 1 into 3. The second element is 2 into 4. That is 1 into 3 and 2 into 4. Then the output you will get is 3, 8 are the values of C array. The code is as usual the same thing. We are importing the NumPy array package, then creating the two arrays with the elements, then simply write C equal to A into B. Automatically the multiplication of two one-dimensional arrays will be calculated, and the output we will get is an array with values 3, 8. And this is the alternative code for it. How to do the dot product of two NumPy arrays? Here you see, multiplication is different and dot product is different, right? In this case, I will take one simple example and I will try to show how multiplication and dot product are different. See, for this one, I have taken two arrays, one array A with 1, 2 values and another array B with 3, 4 values. When I do the dot product of these two things, what happens? It will be, in mathematical, it will be represented as A power T B, that equal to. Then you see, in this case, the first element of first array is multiplied with the first element of array B, and the product of these two elements will be added with the product of the second element of array A and the second element of array B. Then it will be, you see, 1 into 3 plus 2 into 4. 1 into 3 plus 2 into 4. Then the output is 11. Means when you perform only the product, nothing but multiplication, your output will be again a array with some elements. But when you do the dot product, right, the output will be a single value, right? Means all the values are going to be product and it will be added. Finally, you will get a single value as the output. How to create a two-dimensional NumPy array, right? Till now we have seen how we can work with one-dimensional array. Now we will try to create a two-dimensional array, right? Just like other programming languages, right? In Python also we are going to do like this. Means this particular statement is going to tell that we are going to create an array A with these three. Means These are the dimensional. Here you see 1, 2, 3 are one dimension, 4, 5, 6 are one dimension, 7, 8 and 9 are one dimension. Right? Means here we are working with n dimensional array, not with two dimensional. Right? Then b equal to mp dot array of a. See, we will try to understand this very clearly. See, when I do this one, what is happening? Right? We are going to create a b, right? That is the array, right? It is a multi-dimensional array, and the elements will be represented like this. You see, the first group will be placed in the first row, the second group will be placed in the second row, and the third group will be placed in the third row, right? And if you want to extract or if you want to identify these particular elements, then those index values will be like this. For example, if I want to point out or if I want to access the 1 from the array, then I should write b of 0, 0, right? If I want to extract the 5, then I have to write b of 1 and 1. Simultaneously, if I want to extract 9, then I have to write b of 2 and 2, right? Means this diagram is going to tell the elements what the b array is holding, and this diagram is going to tell what are the index values which we can use to access these elements. And dimension, just like one dimensional, right? You can also try to extract the things. If you want to extract the dimension, it will be, you see, b dot ndim, then automatically it will be 2 if it is two dimensional, right? You will get 3 if it is three dimensional, right? Here you see we are working with two dimensional only, right? It is not three dimensional, right? Let us go back. In this case, I have told that it is three dimensional, but actually it is only two dimensional. Why? Because the data elements are representing in x and y axis only. We are not going for the z axis, right? Means in form of rows and columns only, right? Then it is a two dimensional array, right? That point you need to remember, right? If you represent the values or the elements of an array in both x, y and z axis, then it is called as three dimensional, right? Means in this case, if you write b dot ndim, you are going to get 2, right? And if you are trying to extract the shape b dot shape, then it will be 3 comma 3, that is number of columns are 3 and number of rows are 3. And going for the attributes means nothing but number of elements in the two dimensional array, then it will be b dot size, that you will get as 9, that is 3 into 3. Right? How to add two n-dimensional NumPy arrays? Means in this case, we are trying to add the two-dimensional arrays. Right? The first dimensional array, two-dimensional array, A is holding 1, 0 and 0, 1, and B is holding 2, 1 and 1 and 2. In this case, what happens? The 0th element of array A will be added with the 0th element of B, and the first index element of A will be added with the first index element of B. Simultaneously, this one, right? This one will be 0, 0 and this will be 0, 1, and this will be 1, 0 and this will be 1, 1. These are the index values. For simple understanding, you can say that this element means the first element at the first square box, right? That element will be added with the first element in the B. It will be 1 plus 2, 0 plus 1, 0 plus 1 and 1 plus 2. That's why it will be, you see, the output will be 3, 1 and 1 and 3. This is the way how you can perform the addition in between two dimensional arrays. Example code. You see, very simple. There will be no change in writing the addition code. That is same. The C equal to A plus B you can write. Then output you will get an array, right, with elements 3, 1 and 1, 3. Right. In the similar fashion, you can perform the multiplication, dot matrix and product among two two-dimensional arrays also. Next, we will try to see the hands-on lab session where we will create or we will write some example codes and know practically how we can create and work with different dimensional arrays. Entire this practical section I have split it into 4 labs, lab 1, 2, 3 and 4. During this lab 1, we are going to work with 0 dimension and 1 dimensional arrays. Here, don't worry, Python is supporting 0 dimensional arrays. Right? How it will be, let us see. Right? In order to work with the array dimensions, then the first primary duty you have to do is you have to import the NumPy package into your program code by using the statement import NumPy as np. Here np is the alias name for NumPy and a equal to np dot array of 10. In this one, a is considered as a 0 dimensional array we are creating. It is completely user defined, and np dot means using the alias name of NumPy package, right? In that NumPy package, there is a function available called as array, which will allow you to create different types of arrays, or we can say different dimensional arrays. In this case, if I mention only a single value in the brackets, or if I pass a single value as a parameter to the array function, it means that it is a 0 dimensional array. Now, after creating a single 0 dimensional array, then by using a print statement, you can see what elements are there in that array. Right? Let us try to see how this code will be executed. In order to see the results, right, before that you need to understand this particular environment. The program code, entire this lab session codes I have developed using Anaconda Python distributor. In that we are specially using a software called as Spider with Python 3.7 version. Don't worry, this entire code is going to work even in the latest versions of Python, that is Python 3.8.3, which is released on 13th May 2020. Right? Try to understand this environment first. The Spider comes with 2 main important blocks. This particular block is called as an editor, where we generally write our programs. And this is called as a console, where you will see the outputs of your program code. These are the 2 important points here we need to consider while working with these codes. The remaining parts, it's not necessary right now. Now we have seen how to develop a 0 dimensional array with these 2 statements. Let us try to execute these lines. In order to execute, right, there is a option called as here the run option. This is a run file, which you can do it even by using a shortcut F5. But when you press on this particular button, whatever the block of statements that you have developed here, they are going to be executed. But in this case, as I am not going to execute the remaining parts of the code, only I want to execute these 3 particular lines. In this case, you have to select only the lines which you want to execute and go to the run menu and click on run shell. Fine. Now we can see the output in the console, Python console. See, the code has been executed, and by using print of a, we could able to see what is the value that present in the array. Right? As we know that array elements will be extracted by using its indexes. Let us try to see this one. I have used the statement print a of 0. This is going to give an error. Why? Because 0 dimensional arrays will have only one particular element. In that case, it's not necessary to use the index values. If you do such type of experimentation in your code, let us try to see what error we will get. See, the error is too many indices for array. Why? Because the 0 dimensional array does not allow indexing while accessing their elements. Once you understood how to create a 0 dimensional array, let us go to extract the array functionalities, or we can say that array properties like type, shape, size and dimensions. Here, what do you mean by type? Here, Type property is going to tell what is the data type of the array. As we know that array can hold only similar type of elements in the contiguous memory locations. It does not allow, Python does not allow to store different type of elements in a single array, right? In this case, you can create arrays only with integer values, or only with floating point values, or only with string values. But you cannot use the combination of different data types. In this case, if you want to know what is the data type of the array you have been created, then you can use the property called as type. And next, shape, right? Shape is going to tell the number of columns and number of rows, right? What are the number of rows and columns your array is having? Then the size property is going to tell the number of elements that your array is holding. The number of elements the array is holding. And the dimension, it is going to tell either it is 0-dimensional array, 1-dimensional array, 2-dimensional array, or multi-dimensional array. Right? Let us try to extract the things. I will execute the statements individually. If you want to know the data type of your array, then the statement should be a dot, here a is the 0-dimensional array you have created here, a dot d type. D type is going to retrieve you the data type of your array. Select this particular statement, go to the run menu and click on run shell. See, you got the data type, that is int32. Why? Because it is an integer data type. Next, print a dot ndim. Ndim is going to give you the dimensions of your array, right? As we are created a 0-dimensional array, means you will get 0 as the output for this one. Let us execute this. Okay, it is a 0-dimensional array. Next, we want to go for extracting the property of shape. So that can be done as a dot shape. Select the statement and execute. See, there will be no result for this one. Why? Because the shape will not be applicable to a 0-dimensional array. The same code you can execute for other dimensions of the array, like 1-dimensional, 2-dimensional, and multi-dimensional. Let's go for the size. Size means in order to extract the number of elements that present in the array. Okay, the size of the array is only 1. Why? Because we have passed only 10 to the array, right? This is the way how you can extract the properties of an array, including type, shape, size, and dimensions. Then let us go to the access methods. How can we access the elements that present in the array, right? Here you see, these access methods are not going to be applicable for the 0-dimensional arrays. Why? Because we know that 0-dimensional arrays will have only one element as the input element. It will have only one input element. In this case, different access methods are not possible except print of a. This point you have to remember carefully. Then we should go for creating a string array, right? This string array is here, you see, that can be done by using the import statement. As I mentioned earlier, if you want to create any of the NumPy array, then you have to import NumPy package into your code. So the first statement of your program code should be import only. Import NumPy as np, and here a equal to np.array of red, green, and blue. In this case, the array A I am going to create is a string array. Why? Because this array is holding all the string values only. So in this case, if you execute this particular statement, print a of d type, then it is going to give string type. Let us see whether we are expecting correct or not. Select this code and run the shells. See, here we got the output as a string type. This is the way how you can create the string related array. And remember, here you see it is completely a 1-dimensional array, Why? Because this array is having more than one element, that is red, green and blue. As there are three elements passing to this array, then automatically it will become a one-dimensional array, right? Now let us try to see to create how we can create a integer based array. How we can create a integer based array. In this case, I will write the statement import numpy package with the alias name np, and here I will write as arr equal to np dot array. Array is the function which allows to create arrays for us. In the square brackets you have to mention the list of elements. Here the list of elements are 1 2 3 4 and 5, right? Once the elements are created, then you can go for print statement, print arr. This statement will print the list of elements present in the array, right? In order to see the result of this particular 3 lines of code, first you save the file, select it and run the code. See, the code has executed successfully and it has given the list of elements present in the one-dimensional array, right? This is the way how you can create a one-dimensional integer based array, right? To this one we can access methods are applicable. Why? Because as the array is holding more than one value, then these access methods comes into picture. Now in this case, let us try to understand. Print a of 1:5, right? Even it is also called as slicing, right? Means instead of extracting all the elements of the array, here we are only extracting some elements from the array. That concept is also called as slicing. Now here what I am doing, I am asking to print the elements which are present in between the index 1 to 5. Means what it is going to do, it will extract the elements between index 1 and 4. Means the statement should execute, see, index 1 means it should start from 2, right? Index 1 and before 5, right? This number indicates before 5. Before 5 means 0 1 2 3 4, right? Means see, the output will be here. You see, select and run the same first. See what happened here, we got the elements as green and blue. Why it is so? Why? Because a is a array which we have created for the string based numbers, but here we have to work on these particular things. So in this case you have to change the array name as arr. Now save the code and run the statement one after another, right? See, when you say 1 to 5, what happened? It extracted the elements from 2. Why? Because 0 should be emitted and 5 is indicating the outer bound. Outer bound means even though the 5 is not available, it will consider up to 4. Means up to 4 means it will be up to 5th element. Why? Because 1 is at the 0th index, 2 is at the first index and 3 is at the second index and so on, right? What happens if I write here 1:3? Means I am trying to extract the elements that are present in between. The element should start extracting from index 1 and up to index 2, right? Why? Because here 3 will not be considered. Means the output will be 2 and 3, right? Let us see if we have expected correct or not. Okay, the output we got is 2 and 3. And simultaneously what happens if I use print arr 4:, means the second value I have never passed. In this case what happens, it will take the outer bound, means up to the last element, right? And from where we are asking to retrieve, extract from the 4th index. From the 4th index means 0 1 2 3 and 4. From the fourth index means from the fifth index. As that is the last element, then the output for this one will be only 5. Select and run the code. Okay, the output what we got is 5. Right? In the same fashion, here I have used the statement in a different way. Print ARR of, I forgot to keep the first element colon and I have mentioned the fourth element. It indicates that up to third index. 4 will not be considered up to third element, third index. The thing is from where it has to start, from the 0th index it has to start. So it will be from 0 to third index, means 1, 2, 3 and 4. Why? Because 0, 1, 2 and 3 means up to 4 it will display. See the output. Select the statement and run the shell. See, we got the output as 1, 2, 3, 4. Simultaneously, here index values are also can be negative. You can keep even negative indexing also, just like what we done in list tuples, right? In the same way, you can go for arrays also, right? What happens if I mention -1? Here, -1 represents that the last element. Why? Because the search process will start from the right hand side, right? In this case, what I am asking? I am asking to retrieve the elements starting from -1 and ending before -3, right? Starting from -1 means starting from the first element from the right hand side and up to -3. It is not equal to -3, it is up to -3, right? So let us, here I have represented the index values in the negative numbers, right? When it is negative numbers, the search process will start from the right hand side, not from the left hand side, right? Select this statement and try to see the output. Okay, we could able to get 3 and 4 as the results, right? In the same way, you can extract the elements in a different manner, right? In this way, you can see here what I have done. I will use ARR. Why? Because we are working on integer based array. So ARR of 1, 2, 5 with an interval of 2, right? See, array element should be extracted from index 1, elements before fifth index, and interval should be 2. Means when the first element in index 1 is displayed, then 1 will be eliminated, removed or not considered, then the other element will be considered, right? In this case, you see, you select and run the code first. Now you see what is the output we got? 2 and 4. How it will be? You see, we are asking to extract the elements from the first index. In the first index 2 is available, so 2 is considered. Then we have said that 2 interval means 3 will not be considered, right? Then 4 will be considered, right? 5 will not be considered. If 6 is available, 6 will be considered. But as the 5 is the last element, only 2 and 4 are considered. So for this particular condition, as 2 and 4 are the only elements satisfying that particular condition, then you would able to see only 2 and 4 as the result. And here one more print statement is there. Print ARR of double colon and 2, right? What it means double colon and 2? Just like 2 here. Interval. We are asking for the interval. But here we are not mentioning any range. Means all the elements of the array need to be considered. But there should be an interval of 2. Means it will consider from first element, 0th index, 1 will be considered, 2 will not consider, 3 will be considered, 4 will not, and 5 will be considered. In this case, if you are correct, then the output should be 1, 3 and 5. Let us see the output. Okay, the output is 1, 3 and 5. This is the way how you can extract the elements from a integer based array in different ways, right? If you want, you can use the same access methods even for string based arrays also. So You copy that, paste the statement. Right here, now instead of going for ARR, you have to take it as A. Why? Because the string based array name is only just A, not ARR. But when extracting, you need to remember, you see, why? Because this particular array is having only 3 elements. If you want to do experimentation, you add some more elements to it. Orange and yellow. Okay, save the code, run this code first. Fine, the code is executed successfully. Then let us try to extract the individual elements. The same way how we have done for integers, that will be same for strings also. Means if I keep 1:3, that means that I'm asking for a slice of elements which are present in between the index 1 and 3, right? But here first index will be considered, but third index will not be considered. Select and run the code. Okay, we could able to see green and blue. Why? Because green is at the first index and it is in the second index, and orange is in the third index, but in the range we have mentioned 3, means before 3. Before 3 means it will be only green and blue. Simultaneously print A of 4 colon, and I missed the second value, that means that up to the end of the list. Okay, only yellow will be satisfied. Simultaneously the same statement, print A of first element is not considered, means it has to start from 0th index, but it should consider only before the 4th index, the elements which are available before the 4th index. Okay, before the 4th index means what happened? Yellow is removed, yellow is not considered. Why? Because yellow is in the 4th index. Before the 4th index means yellow will not be considered. If you keep 5 here, the output will be with orange color also. Simultaneously, you can use the negative indexing also. Okay, only blue and orange. Okay, right? -1 indicates what? The orange element, right? And -3. -3 indicates up to the -3, right? So, blue and orange is given as the output. And simultaneously, you can go for these type of things also, right? If you understood how to extract even the string based array elements, then we will go for addition of two arrays, right? As we know that it's a very simple operation to perform addition between the two numbers, right? To do such type of things, Python is going to provide the very simplest way of writing the code, right? The first statement is here, you import the NumPy package, then create two arrays. Here the first statement is going to create a array X with 1 2 3 4 and 5 elements, and the second statement is going to create us an array with the name Y and elements 6 7 8 9 and 10. Then simply in the next line I will write Z equal to X plus Y, means I want to perform the addition of these two numbers. As the output is there in Z, I am printing Z to see the results. Now select this whole statements and run it to see the results. See, the result after performing the addition is 7, 9, 11, 13 and 15. This is the simple way how you can perform addition. Then we go for multiplying an array. Here remember, it is not the multiplication of two arrays, but rather it is the multiplication of an array or multiplication of array elements with a number, right? Means in this case what I am doing, I am creating a NumPy array A, right? And then I am using the statement B equal to A into 2, right? the intention of writing this a into 2 is I want to multiply all the elements of a individually with 2. Means it will be 2 into 1, 2 into 2, 2 into 3, 2 into 4 and 2 into 5. Right? This way I want to perform the multiplication. Right? To see the results, select the statements and run them. See, the output we got is 2, 4, 6, 8 and 10. This is the way how you can perform the multiplication, right, with an element, with a number and all the elements of a array. It's a one-dimensional array, right? Next, we go for the product of two arrays, right? Means in this case, we are creating two arrays, right? And that to remember, these two are one-dimensional arrays only, right? The first array is A1 will be created with 1 to 5 numbers, and the second array is A2 created with the element 6 to 10. So simply by doing for product, you can write it as A1 into A2. Remember, multiplication is different and product is different. In this case, I am multiplying one array with another array. In that case, you cannot say it as multiplication, but rather you have to say it as a product, right? In that case, you can use asterisk to do the product in between the two arrays. So it will be A3 equal to A1 into A2, right? In the mathematical notation, I am explaining it. So as we know that the output will be in the A3, then we are asking to print A3 to see the results. Select the statements and run the code. See, the output we got is 6, 14, 24, 36 and 50. Why? Because you see, each and every element will be multiplied with the other elements present in the array. Means 1 will be multiplied with 6, 2 will be multiplied with 7, 3 will be multiplied with 8, 4 will be multiplied with 9 and 5 will be multiplied with 10. So because of that, the output we got is 6, 14, 24, 36 and 50. This is the way how you can simply perform the product of two arrays. Then we go for the dot product of two arrays. Right? Here there is a lot of difference between product of two arrays and dot product of two arrays. Remember, when it is dot product of two arrays, then the output you are going to see is only a single element. Right? Means you only will get a single value as the output. In order to see its understanding, let us try to recap the things from the starting section of this video. Right, where I have diagrammatically explained how this dot product will be performed. So for this case also we are having two arrays. Now the thing is, by using the dot function you can do it. Means if you want to calculate the dot product of two arrays, then better to use dot function. Right? In this case, what I am doing, A3 equal to np dot of A1 comma A2. Here A1, A2 are the two parameters, or we can say two arrays to which I want to apply the dot product. So as we know that the output will be in A3, then I am using a statement print of A3. Now you select this complete code and run it. Okay, the output for this one will be 130. That is the difference between the product and the dot product. If you apply the product among the arrays, the output will be again an array only. But if you perform the dot product among the arrays, then the output will be a single element. Okay, how it will come? See, I will try to explain in a simple way. First, the multiplication will be performed between the numbers and those results will be added. Means 1 into 6 plus 2 into 7 plus 3 into 8 plus 4 into 9 plus 5 into 10. Automatically that will give the result as 130. Hope you understood all the example codes we have considered in lab number 1. Let us continue working with two-dimensional arrays. In lab 1, we have seen how 0 dimension and 1 dimensional arrays will be created and how those elements can be accessed in different ways. The same methods you can apply for different dimensional arrays also. In this lab session, let us try to understand how 2-dimensional arrays will be created and how those elements can be accessed in different ways. First, as I mentioned, our primary duty is to import the NumPy package into your code. So the first statement should be import NumPy as NP, then C equal to, here C is the array, 2-dimensional array what I am going to create by using the array function which I have extracted from the NumPy package. If you are creating a 2-dimensional array, then the elements should be enclosed within the square brackets. Means this particular square brackets means the elements present in this square bracket represents the first dimensional elements, and the elements which you have enclosed in the next square brackets, they will be considered as a second dimensional elements. So by using these things we have created a 2-dimensional array. If you want to see the elements of the 2-dimensional array, now what we have created, then simply you can write print of C, right? Let us try to execute these statements. Before that, save the code as we have made some changes to the code statement. Select those lines and run the shell. Okay, this is the way. Now the code is executed successfully and those elements are given as the output by the print statement. Next, we will try to extract the elements, various properties of the 2-dimensional array. That is type, shape, size, and dimension. Type is data type, shape is number of rows and columns, right? Or otherwise, okay, rows and columns. Size is the number of elements, and dimension is what dimension it is. Okay. Now I am trying to execute all the statements at the same time. Means the output will be the type, dimension, shape, and size. Okay, here you see the first int 32 is the data type of the array, 2 is the dimension. Why? Because we have created a 2-dimensional array, and here you see the number of rows will be 2 and number of columns will be 5, and the total number of elements are 10. Right? This is the way how you can create a 2-dimensional array and extract various properties. Now let us try to go for the access methods. As I mentioned, print statement print of C is going to give all the elements of an array. Now we will try to see how individual elements can be accessed. That is by mentioning the index values of the row and the column. See, if I write print C of 0 and 0, what it means, we are trying to access the first element in the first row of an array. Means the element present at the 0th index of the first row and at the 0th index of the first column. Then automatically we will get the element which is present there. Select and run the code to see the result. Okay, the element present is 1. Why? Because this will become the 0, 0 element. Right? Simultaneously, I will use C1 of 3. That means that in the second dimension, I am trying to extract the element present in the third index. Means the output will be, okay, the output is 9. Why? Because in the first dimension, means these particular elements. In these particular elements, I am trying to extract the element present in the index number 3. Then 6 is available at index 0, 7th index is 1, 8th index is 2, and 9th index is 3. Because of that one, 9 has given as the result. Right? Simultaneously, you can go for practicing of other things. What happens if I write, okay, 0 of 3? Okay, what it means? 0 of 3 means in the 0th index dimension, means this particular group of elements. In that, I am trying to extract the third element, means the element present in index 3. That is zeroth index 1 is there, in first index 2 is there, in second index 3 is there, in third index 4 is there. Means the output will be 4. Let us try to see it. Select and run the shell. Okay, the output is 4. This is the way how you can extract the individual elements from a two-dimensional array. The same way you can apply slicing also. Slicing means not extracting all the elements in the two-dimensional array, rather we are extracting only few elements based upon certain conditions or ranges, right? Here that can be done with this particular syntax, start and end syntax, or otherwise you can go for start, end and step syntax. Start and end means from which index to which index, and start, end and step means from which index to which index and at what particular interval. Step means at what particular interval. Now you see here I mentioned 1 comma 1 to 4 means I am asking for one dimension, means this particular range of elements, and these are the elements of one dimension, and from 1 to 4 means it should start from first index, means that is from 7, and before the third index. Before the third index means, sorry, before the fourth index means it will be 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4, means before 0. Means the output should be 7, 8 and 9. Let us see. Select and run the code. Okay, the output is 7, 8 and 9. The same way I have used here. Print C of 0, 2 to 4 means in the 0th dimension array, means if this is the 0th dimension elements, in this the element should be extracted starting from second index and up to the fourth index. Starting from second index means it is 3, up to fourth index means not the fourth index, that means before the fourth index, means it will be 3 and 4. 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Yeah, the output will be 2 and 3. Let us see. Okay, the output is 3 and 4. Simultaneously, I have used one more access method. Colon 4 means in the 0th dimension starting from the 0th element and up to the 4th index elements, means up to the 3rd index elements, before 4th index element and up to 3rd index element, means 0 to 3 means elements present in the 0th index to 3rd index, as well as here the elements that are available between 0th index and 1st index, right? Now you see the output for this one. Okay, right here from 0 to 4th index that will be only 1 and 2, right? And from 0 to second index that will be 6 and 7. Now as we have done with one dimensional arrays, even two dimensional array indexes can also be in negative values, means I can represent like this 0, minus 1. In this case, right, what happens, you see the output will be 5. Why? Because in the 0th dimension means in the list of 1, 2, 3 and 4 I want to extract the minus 1 element. Minus 1 index element means it will be from right hand side, means it will be 5. So the output we got is 5. Similarly, if I write print C of 1, minus 2 means in the first dimension, means in the range of 5 to 0 elements, 5, 6, 8, sorry 6, 7, 8, 9 and 0 and minus 2 means here 0 will be minus 1 and 9 will be minus 2, right? So the expected output should be 9 here. Let us see we have expected correct or not. Okay, the output we got is 9. This is the way how you can create a two-dimensional array, and you can extract various array properties like type, shape, size and dimension, and we can use different access methods in order to extract the individual elements as well as the range of elements from a two-dimensional array. Hope you understood the example codes employed here. Next we come with in lab 3 we will try to work with three-dimensional arrays. As a beginner, the implementation and understanding of three-dimensional arrays are a little bit complex, so I restricted this lab only for the creation of a three-dimensional array and extracting the properties. Let us start with the creation. The first statement will be an import statement, that is import numpy as np. Then after, mention the array name you are creating at the left hand side, then an equal to sign, or otherwise we can say assignment operator np dot array function. Here I have used certain elements to create the three-dimensional array. Here the question is how to understand that this is a three-dimensional. Let us try to understand it. See, whatever the elements I am selecting now, this will be considered as a one-dimensional, right? Means the elements which are in this particular area, the selected area, they will be the one-dimensional elements, and the elements which I am keeping in the selection now, right? Those elements are the those elements represent the second dimension, right? And the elements which I am representing in these three square brackets, then they represents the third dimension. Remember, the elements which I am keeping in the first square brackets, they are the one dimensional, means 1 2 3, or otherwise we can say 4 5 6, or otherwise we can say 1 2 3 and 4 5 6, right? And the two dimensional means this one, right? This particular area. In this case it is 1 2 3 4 5 6, and in this case also it is 1 2 3 and 4 5 6, and the final square bracket, this will represent the third dimension. So automatically a third dimensional array will be created, but we don't know whether it is a third dimensional array or not. For that one only, let us try to extract the properties of that array, right? The properties like type, shape, size and dimension, right? First of all, you try to execute these statements to see whether we have written correct or not. Okay, everything is fine. Then go for the extraction of the properties. Okay, fine. The data type of the array is integer and it is a three-dimensional. Alright. See, when you are doing some hands-on sessions in the lab, let us try to identify the dimensions first. Why? Because the operations will be different for dimensions to dimension. Means some operations will be applicable for only one dimensional and some will be for two dimensional. So in this case we got it is a three-dimensional array, right? And here you see, in the x-axis we are having two elements, in the y-axis we are having two elements, and in the z-axis we are having three elements. Total elements are 12, right? This has given by d dot size. And next, if you want to see the elements of the three-dimensional array, simply write print of d. Okay, these are the elements of a three-dimensional array we created here. In this lab, we will try to see some other functionalities that we can apply on NumPy arrays. First, we start with the array concatenation. As we know that strings can be concatenated. In the same way, array elements are also be concatenated, that we will see with suitable examples. First, we will try to see the concatenation of two one-dimensional arrays. In this case, first I have created two arrays, A11 with elements 1, 2 and 3, 4, and another array A21 with elements 4, 5 and 6, 7. These two are the two-dimensional arrays here, right? Then by using a concatenation function, means here concatenate is a function which will allow you to perform the concatenation. This will take the array names as parameters. In this case, as the array names are A11 and A21, I am passing them to the concatenate function. So the result will be kept in A31. The same results I am trying to print using a print statement. Let us try to see how they are going to be executed. Select the statements you want to execute and click on run cell option. Right? We could able to get it as a single array. Remember, you see all the elements are enclosed in the square brackets, means these has been considered as only one array, that too A31. Right? Means A31 is evolved with the extracted values, means with the concatenated values of A11 and A21. This is the way how you can perform concatenation of two-dimensional arrays. What happens if you do the same thing for one-dimensional arrays? In this case, you see I am creating two one-dimensional arrays A12 and A22. By using the same concatenation function, I am trying to concatenate the elements of A12 with the elements of A22. The results I am keeping in A32 array. Right? Let us try to execute this. Okay, you see when it is one-dimensional array, see all the elements are kept in the single square brackets. That means that it is a one-dimensional array. When you see two square brackets just like here, then we can say that it is a two-dimensional array. If it is a three-dimensional array, then the elements will be enclosed within three square brackets. Okay, next we'll try to see the splitting of one-dimensional and two-dimensional arrays. Right? Here what I will do is I will try to split a one-dimensional array into multiple arrays. Right? In this case, what I am doing, first I am creating an array named as array 1 with elements 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And by using array underscore split function, means array underscore split function is going to split the elements of an array. Right? Now what I am asking, this function is taking two parameters. One is array 1, which is the array, and the second parameter is 2. Here 2 indicates the number of splits to be performed. Means this complete list of elements I want to split into two parts. Right? This is the parameter which indicates, right? And after splitting, whatever the results we are getting, that I am storing in new array 1. The same thing, by using a print statement, I am seeing whether the split has performed or not. Okay, take the one-dimensional array first, you create it, then by using array underscore split function, split the array into your required number of parts, and then you store the result in a particular array and try to print the elements after performing the splitting. Select the code and run it. Okay, now you see we got two arrays. One array is with elements 1, 2 and 3, and another array with elements 4, 5 and 6. Now I will go for some other. New array 2, okay, equal to np dot array underscore split array 1, the same array I want to split, but instead of 2 splits I want to go for 3 splits. Okay, what happens if I do 3 splits? Okay, now before executing the code, save the file and run the code. Okay, see, as I never printed new array 2, we didn't found any result here. So here you paste the statement. You write the statement as print new array 2. Okay, save it, select the statements you want to execute and run them. Now you see the array is split into 3 with first array elements 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 in the second array and 5 and 6 in the third array. In this way you can split the elements of a one-dimensional array. Right? What happens if I do the same thing for two-dimensional array? Right? The concept is same, only the thing is instead of representing the elements in square brackets, one single square bracket, you are going to represent in two square brackets. That indicates that it is a two-dimensional array. And the same function we are going to use, that is array underscore split, which will split the array 11 elements into three parts. Okay, and the same we are printing them. Select and run the code. Okay, now you see the first array with elements 0, 1 and 2, 3, and the second array with elements 4, 5 and 6, 7, and the third array with elements 8, 9 and 10, 11. This is the way how you can split 8 two-dimensional array elements into several arrays. Next we go for searching. We can particularly search for an element in an array, right? Either it can be a one-dimensional array or it can be two-dimensional array. To do so, NumPy package is providing a specific function called as where function. This function is going to perform a search. If the search is successful, it is going to return the index element, right? How it will be, you see, first imported the NumPy package, then created a one-dimensional array, and I have mentioned the where function. In this I have written like this, you see, array 1, 2 is exactly equal to 2. That means that when a particular element of this array is equal to 2, then what I have to do, the result I have to keep in the S array 1, 2, and the same I have to print it. Okay, first you try to execute this. Now you see array 1, right? What it means that at first index, right, the element is available. Okay, sometimes you can understand like this, or otherwise we can say that the search is successful, right? What happens if I try to see for the element which is not available? Okay, means instead of 2 I will mention it as 6 here. Save it and run the code. See, the output is nothing. Why? Because the search is failed. Generally, you see, when you perform the comparisons, the output will be the boolean value only, either true or false. Okay, this is the way how you can perform the search. Next, we go for sorting of elements. Here we are performing the sorting of one-dimensional array. That's why I have created a one-dimensional array with a name array 1, 3, and I am using specifically a function called as sort function. This sort function is going to perform the sorting, that is nothing but arranging the elements in an array in ascending order, right? So in order to see the results, intentionally I have displaced the sequence of elements here, right? Let us see the output for this statement. Okay, the output is the array elements which are in the proper order, which are arranged in a sequential way, that is in the ascending order. The same thing you can perform for two-dimensional arrays also, right? The same thing, you import the package, then create a two-dimensional array and apply the sort function to the array you have created. Select the code and run it. Okay, now you see the elements in the two-dimensional array have been arranged in a ascending order. I hope you understood all the lab sessions and also the example codes explained here. If you feel that these lab sessions will be useful to you, then you try to utilize them. The Python codes of all these 4 labs I am keeping in the description below of this video. You can download it for free, and if you feel that this video is very useful and important, you can share with your friends in the social media sites. Thank you for watching this video.